Hi, everybody. Well, remember, it's funny how people who were being called conspiracy theorists and everything at one point are now kind of being proven right. So one of the things that we were hearing during the initial outbreak of COVID and then the huge rise of, the second big wave, right? When winter hit and everybody started rising and all the cases went up. And people were saying, well, we're hearing stories that, in the fatality rate, if somebody dies of a heart attack, yet they had COVID, they were counted as a COVID mortality and was counted in the death rate. And then we also heard stories of, people going in for cancer surgery, testing positive while they're there, well, they're counted as having COVID in the hospitals. And everyone, the governments and the media and all of them, they all said, no, that's not going on. That's not, what are you talking about? That's absolutely false. We're not doing that. There's no way we're doing that. Okay, fast forward to 2022, and now we have a change of narrative. Now we have them coming out and saying, you know what? Don't worry about the hospitalization so much, about the hospitalization numbers, because in reality, many of the people in hospital are there with COVID, not because of COVID. That's right. Sometimes a child may go into the hospital because of a broken arm, and they're automatically tested for COVID. And now they're counted as being a COVID hospitalization patient. Isn't that kind of the same thing that was being said before by people? And a lot of people were calling them out, saying they're conspiracy theorists and crazy right-wing psychopaths and all this. And I thought, I didn't take a side. I didn't take a side in the fight. I just said, well, it's interesting. There's a lot of those stories out there. And in case you're wondering, you're saying, no, they're not saying that, Don. Well, here's a Canadian hospital representative from Ontario. And here's Dr. Fauci representing the United States and what they said.
But the other important thing is that if you look at the children who are hospitalized, many of them are hospitalized with COVID as opposed to because of COVID.
Many individuals have noted the importance of distinguishing between patients admitted to hospital or the ICU for COVID-19 versus those admitted for other reasons, such as a broken bone or appendicitis, but also test positive for COVID-19.
And what we mean by that, if a child goes in the hospital, they automatically get tested for COVID, and they get counted as a COVID hospitalized individual. So it's overcounting the number of children who are, quote, hospitalized with COVID as opposed to because of COVID.
So, yeah, if that's the case now, that they're in hospital with COVID, is it not stand to reason that before there were also cases of people going to hospital with COVID? There was also people who happened to pass away with COVID as opposed to because of COVID. I just found I found that funny. The conspiracy theorist of yesterday turns out to be the truth today in a way. And it's the spin that the exact same people at the beginning when they were being asked this, they said, no, that's not happening, that's not happening. And now they're saying, hey, look, we got to change the way we do our counting because of the way they're counting it like this. And I'm going, it's like we've been saying that all along. And here's a true fact. Hawaii just came out and said half the people in their hospital with COVID are there because they have COVID, but they weren't there for COVID. They were there because there was a surgery, a hospitalization, an accident. They just happened to test positive there. Half the people in their hospital. The UK just came out with their findings saying half the people in their hospitals were tested at the hospital to find out they had COVID. because they were there for other reasons. So the numbers could be really skewed. They're now saying the numbers are skewed way too high. The numbers are actually much lower, everybody, so calm down, don't worry. Where before they were saying the numbers are actually much lower than they are, and there's probably more out there than we even know about, so panic, everybody. It's almost too funny if it wasn't so sad and people's livelihoods and lives are actually on the line here. It's starting to become farcical, if you know what I mean. So there you go. I just had to bring that out. It's in the stories from before when people were questioning it and they downright said, no, you're crazy. We're not overestimating. We're not doing that. And now they're coming out and saying, you know what? We're overestimating. We have to stop overestimating. We're going to change the way we're counting. Because if the numbers don't fit your narrative, then what do? You change the numbers. And that's how you fix your problems if you're in the government.